Grand Admiral Thrawn is one of the Empire's most gifted military strategists and is pretty well known in the expanded universe as perhaps the greatest tactician in galactic history, for leading a ragtag small fleet of Star Destroyers to almost defeating the entire New Republic in the Battle of Bilbringi in 9 ABY, but would only lose due to the betrayal of his bodyguard Rook, who assassinated him. However, shortly before the Thrawn campaign, the Grand Admiral sent a clone of himself to his Hand of Thrawn fortress on the wild space planet of Nirawan, storing the clone in a Sparti cloning cylinder in one of the fortress's sublevels. The Grand Admiral wrapped his duplicate in nutrient tubes and flash learning cables to feed the clone and share his memories with him. The Grand Admiral also placed Ysilamari creatures to repel the force around the clone. Setting up a time system to awaken his clone in 10 years, Thrawn told his forces in the Empire of the Hand that if he was ever reported dead from his campaign against the New Republic, that he would return in a decade. Although not knowing of the clone's existence, many in the Empire of the Hand, including its leader, Admiral Vos Park, believed that Thrawn would return to lead them as the Grand Admiral had always kept his word, despite any reports of him being dead. So now you might be wondering what happened to the clone. Well, 10 years later in 19 ABY, during the Kamas Crisis, Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade had ventured to the Empire of the Hand, and Admiral Vos Park had said that he planned on revealing the Hand's existence to the Imperial Remnant and sharing resources, as an opportunistic Moff had hired a fake Thrawn to take over the Imperial Remnant. However, Skywalker and Jade discovered the clone of Thrawn in the cloning chamber of the fortress and discussed what to do with him when he woke up. The pair contemplated the possibility of bringing him to the New Republic's capital on Coruscant to use this Thrawn to defend the government from several threats from the unknown regions, which Admiral Park had mentioned to them earlier. As the clone had not done anything that deserved an execution, they refused to kill him. However, after Jade suggested that they learn how much time the clone needed before awakening, the pair set off a defensive system, sending 2 sentry droids to confront the infiltrators. As the 2 droids were shutting down their lightsabers upon impact, they were forced to destroy a wall that led to a wave of water entering the chamber and destroyed the droids, but also drowned Thrawn's clone. But what if Thrawn's clone had been able to survive? Say Luke and Mara were able to save Thrawn's clone from drowning, and the droids are still destroyed in the water wave which flooded the chamber. Well, first, Vos Park and the Empire of the Hand would immediately salute Thrawn's return, as Luke and Mara would use him as a kind of bargaining chip for safe passage out of the Hand, as they had kind of gotten on the Hand's bad side during their time there. But on to the grander scheme of things. First, Luke and Mara are immediately going to warn the New Republic of the return of Thrawn. At the same time, the Empire of the Hand is going to pool its resources with the Imperial Remnant and kick out the fake Thrawn and opportunistic Moff. The New Republic would react to the return of Thrawn with initial panic and fears of another Thrawn campaign, as now Thrawn and the Empire of the Hand are united with the Imperial Remnant. It's possible that an impulsive New Republic, as the galactic hegemon, might initiate an assault on these Imperial forces and potentially even a preemptive strike against the Empire of the Hand. However, I personally don't see that as the case. I feel like Luke and Mara would do everything they could to get the New Republic to exercise restraint on the issue. They would probably inform the government that this is a Thrawn clone and not the same Thrawn. So from their perspective, there is little threat. Even though this is a deception, I feel like it would go over pretty well. Also, they would talk about the threats in the unknown regions, which may or may not fall on deaf ears. But on to the Thrawn clone. He had been spending his entire life doing flash learning to be exactly like the original Thrawn, to have the same mind and share his memory. But since he is doing flash learning in a Sparti cloning cylinder, there is a slight chance that he succumbs to potential clone madness. Now, the issue of clone madness was a hot topic of debate, as some scientists believed that it was because the body was grown too quickly and the brain was being fed information that it could not handle, as the amount of data is at such a fast rate. Others believe that it was due to a double presence that the clone caused in the Force. This is why Thrawn had deployed many Ysilamari to push back the Force during the Thrawn campaign, when he was using Sparti cloning cylinders to pump out new clones in every 15 to 20 days without risk of madness. However, the Force is not an issue in this instance, as the Ysilamari were around the Thrawn clone's chamber, and there were many Soontir Fel clones around the galaxy after the Thrawn campaign, so that might be pretty normal. The other issue of the brain being fed so much information is, however, a possibility here, as the clone has been doing flash learning to have the same mind and memories of the Grand Admiral. Although none of the clones produced during the Thrawn campaign had clone madness, none of them were given Thrawn's mind and memory, which might cause the clone to go insane. I just wanted to mention all of that as a potential factor here. Just look at how Sabayoth turned out. But let's just assume the clone doesn't succumb to clone madness. The first major conflict which the clone will participate in is the Third Vagari War, which was an interesting conflict as it began in 22 ABY with the Battle of the Redoubt, where the outbound flight had been shot down. Here, the belligerents were the Chiss Ascendancy, New Jedi Order, Empire of the Hand, and the outbound flight colony survivors all working together against the Vagari. Additionally, a modified droideka fought as a personal separatist holdout. Anyway, Thrawn aids the Chiss against the Vagari, and the Imperial Remnant is combined with the Empire of the Hand, which has drastic changes now. This empire sees massive military buildup for the Yuzang Vong invasion, and information sharing will occur with the New Republic about the Vong. But regardless of how the New Republic reacts to Thrawn's warnings and intelligence, the Empire will be as prepared as it can be by the time of the Yuzang Vong invasion. But when the invasion comes, the Empire will be ready, and with Thrawn at the helm, it will immediately enter the war and enact a brilliant strategic campaign against the Vong in the unknown regions and along with the galactic borders. I don't fully know how the Thrawn clone would react in the campaigns in the Yuzang Vong War. However, the war would definitely end a lot earlier, and perhaps Thrawn's leadership could prevent the conditions for the Second Galactic Civil War, but that depends on what happens with Jacen Solo and if he is captured, as well as if Anakin Solo is killed in the war. And potentially if Chewbacca is saved by having the Yuzang Vong invade at alternate locations with Thrawn there. But that would probably be beyond my ability to try to accurately predict. But all of that is just my opinion. What do you think would have happened had Thrawn's clone survived to lead the Empire of the Hand? Write in the comments, and thank you for watching.